We're good to go.
Welcome aboard, everybody. Uh, Today, what I'd really like to talk about is what I'm just going to call committee dynamics, or another way to think of it is dealing with your committee members. And, committee members may have assigned roles like chair or content person or methodology person or outside person, but they all bring their own personalities, their own life experiences, and their own biases about, what should be part of a dissertation committee and what, students should be put through or what minimum standards are needed. But some of the questions we get over time are, okay, my chair just doesn't respond. It takes a long time to respond. I have to remind my chair to respond. Well, let's think about some of this. If you're at an institution where many of the faculty are part time, that most likely means that your chair and or other committee members have other jobs, and working with you on the committee, while they like it and while it's important to them, may not be first, second, or even third on their list of things that need to get done in any given day. When you couple with that, with in these institutions where faculty are part time, they don't get paid a lot of money. So if they don't get paid a lot of money, they also may not have a lot of incentive to, be on top of things. Now, there are many faculty members who are part-time, don't get paid a lot, and are very attentive. But on the other hand, there are those that aren't. So reminding them that, looking forward to your response, things like that can be important. And this can also happen with full-time faculty members who are looking at their own publishing and their committee assignments and classes, and helping a doctoral student may not be the top of the priority there again. So don't just be passive and wait, but, ask them, hey, I'm really looking forward to the feedback on this. Um, do you think I can have it by a certain date? And I wouldn't say tomorrow, but allow them or give them the opportunity to respond again. And you will find some schools that have deadlines. You have to respond within a certain number of days, whether it's 10 or 14 are relatively typical. Um, and look, life happens, and every once in a while, someone's going to take longer than you expect, or longer than even the institution says they have to do it, and that's okay. But if it is an over and over and over again occurrence, then maybe you check with someone at the institution about what their requirements are and how you can get help. Now, you can also get responses from committee members, chair, that is just not helpful or even adversarial. Um, think of it, first of all, as part of the learning process of becoming a member of the academic community. So maybe there will be feedback that is not incredibly supportive, or is saying, well, look at it this other way, because maybe they're asking you to uh, critically think about things. However, it can also be, yeah, give me more. Well, it's legitimate to say, okay, great, I'd love to. Can you help me understand what you mean by more? Because you've never been here before. So, how would you understand what more is without some support and feedback? And if they just say, well, that's not my job to give you more or to help you, every once in a while you get that one. It's not my job to help you do this. Um, you don't want to respond, well, then what is your job? You want to respond by saying, okay, where can I get more support on this? Because if they're saying they can't do it or won't do it, then maybe they can help you find places where you can get more support. And if it's adversarial, then it's time to open up a discussion. Okay, I thought we were going this way. Can you help me understand why going this other way is important? One of the big things you're going to run into at times is committee member A says you need to add more here. Committee member B says take all of that out. It's now we have to navigate different preferences about things. The first thing I say is default to your chair. What does your chair want when there's conflicts? Does your chair support? Or is your chair one of the people who's saying add more or subtract more? So we want to get to the chair to have the chair use their position as chair in order to help you navigate these situations. That's also a reason why I say, when at all possible, if your institution is a tenure granting institution, you want a chair who is tenured, because untenured faculty members are dependent upon other members of the committee to vote for them when they go for tenure. So they may not be willing to push when you need support because they also need that vote for themselves. So having someone tenured is important. And I forgot to say this at the beginning today, but if you do have questions at any time, just jump in and ask them. Glad to answer them. Also, if there are conflicting uh, advice or suggestions for changes, break them down, figure out exactly what they're asking, and you may not make a change that someone wants, but respond to that. I see that you're looking for me to change, for example, my methodology to this type of statistical test. I understand that test, and one of the underlying requirements of that test is, for example, normally distributed data. Um, and you can say the data here, and now you can respond based upon the underlying assumptions. Oh, I get it, but the data we're going to use doesn't meet these requirements. So you're addressing them, acknowledging what they've said, and then addressing them with your position on this. And it gets to be an intellectual debate now instead of just you responding automatically to something. Is that a question? So, in a true research design, if we're doing some sort of implementation, a treatment, a drug, a change in conditions, it's nice to have a control group because then we can narrow down more effectively. The intervention had this change in the experimental group and it didn't happen in the control group. So now I can more reliably say something might be due to the intervention. However, control groups may not be available. While it's nice to have, you just might not be able to set up a control group for a number of reasons. Whether there just aren't enough people, whether you don't have control. Sorry to use that same word in different meanings, but whether you don't have control over the situation to be able to do it. So you then go to, here is what is available to do this, and we will learn from it so that we can then do future research where potentially control groups are available. So acknowledge again that, yeah, it would be great. And however, here are the limitations of this study that we're embarking on. And now we're going to move forward, but we'll address that in future research as well. Sometimes you are faced with the need, the desire, however we want to phrase it, of a new chair or even a new committee member. But chair typically is a bigger deal because it's harder for institutions to make those changes. Um, there are schools that are very reluctant now to allow chair changes. Uh, you know, you are the client, you are the student that they're supposed to be helping. So if the chair is not being helpful, then you need to document what the chair has done that is outside of the guidelines of what happens. And this is assuming this is you wanting the chair to change. Sometimes chairs leave and you have to go through the process of finding a chair again. And it's just like the beginning. Find somebody who knows something about your topic, who has a track record of helping people move forward. And if it's a member of your committee, the chair, and they've left, maybe there's a member of your committee who's been involved and knows what's going on that can be, step up and be your chair. Otherwise, you have to go through institutional um, steps that are needed. And more often than not, they're going to say, have you talked to your chair about this? So you're going to have a hard conversation with your chair asking, you know, "Oh, I thought we were moving this way. Are we communicating differently? Are you still interested in serving in my chair? How do we move forward and make this uh, allow me to meet my goals?" So it is a difficult conversation, but it's something you do when absolutely needed and when you've backed it up with support, evidence that you aren't getting what the university has promised you. Mhm. She wants to control it until because she's afraid her name's on it as the advisor. So she wants it to be a certain standard before it gets to them. Yeah. Add, subtract, add back the stuff she told you to subtract. One of the ways that I have found helpful with that is when you're asked to make changes, respond with changes and respond with a change matrix, meaning, here's what you asked me to do, here's what I had before, and here's how I made the change. So the first thing is, here's what you asked me to do. So it's reminding them that you asked me to do this. Mhm, mhm. There are people who always want to make sure that they can make comments. Um, in addition, everybody thinks differently. It's great to get feedback from different people because you get different perspectives. And, it becomes eventually conversations you're going to have with your chair about, okay, I'm trying to understand how you're thinking on this. Can you help me move forward this way? The other thing that I have found helpful is when you're getting caught up with responses from chairs or committee members, one of the things you can do is say, here are the changes. Can we defend? I would love to be able to defend, or whatever your next step is, and give them a date a few weeks out. So it's getting their mind off of the idea of continually modifying and editing to moving forward. So I'm hugely in support of making suggestions about moving forward instead of waiting for them to think of moving forward. And that can sometimes move people off of the endless editorial merry-go-round. Okay. Give it a try. Let us know what's happening. And if you have to make changes in your document as you move forward, you talked about a certain sample and it's not available, or you realize the data is going to be different and you need to use a different methodology, try to loop your chair in as quickly as possible instead of just doing it on your own and making changes, because then you're open to comments like, well, you did this change without letting me know, and we have to go back to the committee and all kinds of things. The research is an iterative process. Sometimes research can, there can be changes, and your chair just wants to be kept in the loop. So try to remember, keep them in the loop and involve them whenever possible. But more often than not, chairs and committee members are there to help. And it's just a question of navigating through mixed levels of responsibility and or mixed levels of interest on your committee members based upon how they're compensated and rewarded in life. Are there any more questions? I can hear you. Yes. Mhm. Mhm. Well, first of all, good luck in the process. Um, Academics also have egos. So anytime you can use or involve the work that they've done, which you can think of it as complimenting them, or, look, if someone thinks I'm intelligent, therefore they must be intelligent if they thought I'm intelligent. So if someone thinks my research is good, and my being your committee members or chair, if you are highlighting what they have done in order to move forward, they're more likely to be interested in what you're doing because you obviously are intelligent, because you've, realized the incredible insights that they have in the world. So, try to couch it in their terms because they want to know where you fit in the work they do. So that's going to be important. Sure. Okay. Okay. They're Wow, okay. So that's a pretty high bar. If you add publishing within 4 weeks of time, that it okay. Yes, so you have to, tie in faculty interests, but also with what Google or Facebook or Meta or whatever are doing and needing. So you have to, um, fill a need. And if you can show that you fill a need, and that's pretty much anywhere. If I show I fill a need, then people are gonna want to use my services, whether it's allow me in their program, hire me as a consultant, hire me as a professor, whatever it is, but they don't do this unless they have a need. So you wanna try to fill needs. Mhm, mhm. Right. So 4 weeks, like we said, and you've been saying is difficult, and 6 months, yeah, I can do that. Um, so you have to have a concept. When you submit a book proposal to a publisher, typically you're not submitting the whole book. Many times you're submitting a chapter or two, and they can see the promise in that, and then say, "Yeah, great, come back in X time, and with the whole book, we're going to publish it." So you want to provide something that they can see promise to what you're doing. I mean, if you can do it in 4 weeks, great. But if you can't, well, that makes them this is gonna fill my need, it's worth taking the risk. Yeah, and then yeah, because otherwise, I just don't think it's possible. And and good luck on it. You're wel Oh, well, put out into the messages in the school group and see if there's anybody there who has, the skill set, interests, whatever that, adds to the strength of what you're doing. Okay? You're welcome. We've been going a good amount of time today. If there are no further questions, I'm gonna say, well, so they are, being recorded and, I think uploaded to YouTube every day. So okay, yeah, you're welcome.